Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Manchester Guardian. Today we're going to be sitting down with Vice Mayor and candidate for County Mayor, Mr. Mark Messick.
Morning.
Mr. Mark, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it.
You know, you've spent nearly 8 years as Alderman, and 6 of those were as the Vice Mayor.
Yeah.
You also have 26 years local realtor?
28, I think.
28 years.
Started
okay.
in 98, however that figures out.
Okay, okay. From what I've seen, Beech Grove, that's where you're originally from.
I grew up in Gossburg.
Gossburg.
On the little road called Possum Paw.
Oh, I know exactly where that's
Yeah,
at.
yeah, that's my home right there, man.
So I kind of want to ask you, you know, you've had a front row seat to a lot of the operations, a lot of the things that have gone on in Manchester and several, the past 8 years. So why step away from Manchester city government and go to county government?
Well, that's probably, I hope that's the hardest question you asked me. Listen, I believe in term limits. Even though this really is not term limited, but 8 years is long enough to be in one position in any county, city, state, federal, whatever.
Right.
8 years. There's people out there smarter than I am, and they should have a shot at running things. And I hope they do a better job than I've done. I mean, I think I've done a pretty good job, but old ideas are just that. They're old ideas. Let's bring some new ones in. So that's the reason I didn't want to run. I said a long time ago I was not going to run for a third term as alderman. So, and look, I'm not real happy with the way things are going in the county, and it coincided with me leaving as vice mayor, and I had the opportunity to run as mayor, and I had some people talk to me, and so we thought about it long and hard, and we said, heck yeah, we'll do it. So that's basically it.
So you kind of alluded to my next question.
Okay.
So what is happening at the county level that you feel like needs your intervention?
Well, I think this is going to be an election with two definable, separate ideas. Okay? We've got, and I'm not knocking, and I don't want to come across as knocking Dennis. Dennis and I are friends, and I like him a lot. But Dennis doesn't want any growth at all. I've heard him say time and time again, we shouldn't build houses in the middle of cornfields. And he's not wrong, but we do need some growth. We've got a 2,000 acre industrial site sitting out between 53 and 55, I-24 industrial park. It needs to be developed. Now, you can't just make a call and say, hey, let's develop it, but you got to have an attitude that you want to see some growth come into the county. I don't want to see a 50 house subdivision in the middle of a cornfield in Hillsborough.
Right.
Okay? We can grow reasonably. We can grow out from the UGBs. We can grow along main roads where there's water and not sewer, but water and good roads. Let's leave the farmland that doesn't have the infrastructure. Let's leave it alone. Let's grow corn on it. But let's back up and let's grow, because growth is one of the things that I'm really proud of in the city, because we've done a good job of growing. Every year we've increased our revenue from property taxes to sales taxes at least $1 million. Sometimes, I think last year we had $2 million increase.
Wow.
And all that comes from growth.
Yeah.
So we hadn't had a property tax increase in the city of Manchester in 16 years. And I don't know how we're going to handle the new school. I'm not going to be there for that. But I don't think we're going to need one even for that. I think we can get by just fine. So I've already forgot what we're talking about now. I ramble a little bit, but that's it. I mean, the difference between me and the current administration is I want to do things. I want to grow. I don't want to just bust the seams wide open, but I want to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you a little story. I don't want to get too long on this question, okay?
Okay.
But one thing when we started 8 years ago, you know, kids grow up here, they go to school, they go to Murfreesboro, they get a job. You know, you never see them again. They don't come back to Manchester. They don't spend money on groceries and gas and houses and stuff like that in town. I got a friend, and he's got a young man, and when he graduated technical college or whatever, he went to Nissan in Smyrna. He's been working there for 10, 12 years. When Little Leaf comes in, he puts in an application to Little Leaf, and they hire this guy. All right, this guy's working in Nissan making $50 an hour. He's an industrial maintenance technician. Little Leaf brings him on at $56 an hour. He's working night shift in Smyrna. He's working day shift here. That's a success story for the whole stinking city and county right there. Bring those kids back in here. Give those kids a good job. Let them be proud to live in Manchester.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you've sat on almost every city committee.
I've even been on the adult entertainment committee.
So, finance, public works, water, planning, and zoning. Looking at the county's current budget and operations, where do you see the biggest disconnect between what the taxpayers are funding and the services that they're actually receiving?
So, you tell me what services they're receiving. I mean, roads are not that great. There's public water's not that abundant because we got police protection as much as you could possibly have, I guess, over the size of the county. I just don't know what they're getting for the money they're paying. I don't see it.
So there's a lot of talk right now, and this is probably going to stir up a whirlwind of comments here, but there's people that are complaining about city citizens using county transfer stations or the county dump sites.
Right.
So what in that instance, what is your take there?
Do we not pay for it when we dump? When I take a load of trash to the transfer station, you pay to dump, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So
I personally haven't been up there.
Well, it's been a
since
while
living in
since
the
I've
city,
been
so,
there. Yeah, I know.
so I can't answer that
That's
question.
right. It's been a while, but hey, what about what? And I'm not knocking it. We're gonna stir up some more controversy here. What about the county people that come in and use the rec center? I mean, that's county people using city property, and they pay to do that too. And I'm not knocking it. I'm glad to see them come.
Yeah.
I wish we had more of them show up. But look, Manchester's in Coffee County. Tullahome's in Coffee County. We ought to all three get along. Quit fussing about, quit nitpicking.
Yes.
Let's quit nitpicking and let's move forward. And that's what I feel about that. It's pretty nitpicky.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go to property rights and the reasonable loophole. So, we're going to get into the heavy hitters here. Okay. In your campaign announcement, you made a strong commitment to rolling back zoning restrictions placed by the current administration. You stated that landowners should do as they please with their land as long as it's reasonable.
Right.
So, as we both know, looking at municipal codes, reasonable is kind of a dangerous word, I guess you would say.
It doesn't have any walls.
Government. It's dangerous in government.
Yeah.
Right. So, who defines what is reasonable?
I think our commission would be able to do that. When I say reasonable, I've said this before. You can't build a hog barn in the backyard of your neighbor. Okay, that's not reasonable. Or a chicken house next door to a subdivision. That's not reasonable. That's one reason subdivisions need to stay out of the farmland. Okay, but and another thing is I don't think a rock quarry in Beach Grove is a reasonable thing. I don't think one company or one person should spoil the community for everybody else. So I've made no bones that I'm not for the rock quarry in Beach Grove. But the county commission or the if a committee's appointed to look at rezoning, which I hope I can get a chance to do, then they'll just have to redefine reasonable, and it'll be fluid. I mean, it can't just be set in stone. It'll have to be fluid, and we'll change it as time goes on. We'll adjust it, but that's okay. That's what we're there for. And you can't just look at something today and say this is the way it's going to be 20 years from now. You have to be able to adjust and make plans.
Do you feel like that during those times, you said forming a committee, so would you be open to maybe putting something out to the public and saying, hey, what is the public's, what are the citizens of Coffee County, what are their thoughts and ideas?
Look, I base my whole campaign on listening to people, and I just, if I get elected, I'm not going to stop. Okay, I mean, sure, and we'll have town halls, and we'll have breakfast with the mayor. So I stay in touch with the people, and I listen to the people, and if they want to come see me, they're welcome to come see me. But yeah, in fact, the committee I dream of would be made of farmers, housewives, businessmen, real estate people, developers, just a great big conglomeration of everybody that's got a piece of this county. And I think it may take a while, it may take a year, it may take a year and a half, but I think we can redraw our zoning lines and do a much better job with it than what we've got now.
So based on the type of people you want on this committee, we're essentially going to have an MMA ring.
Well,
right?
I hope not. I'd like to think everybody's going to get along here.
I'm just
but you're right. I know what you're thinking, Jeff.
Yeah. So, okay. If I'm a resident who moved to a quiet part of Coffee County, specifically because of those zoning protections, what is your message to me? How do you protect my property value while lifting restrictions for my neighbor?
Well, I don't know that we would. I don't know exactly where you're going. How you going to figure on lifting restrictions? I hope not everybody's going to be happy. You know, it's just not going to happen. I can't make everybody happy.
You can't please everybody.
You can't please everybody. You have to do what you think is the best thing to do for the entire county.
So it goes back to the reasonable
thing.
Within reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll tell you this: if there's a subdivision, a 50, 60 house, 10 house, 12 house, whatever subdivision, I don't think you ought to zone it where you can put, like I said, chicken houses, hog houses, something that just is going to bother the hell out of those people. I don't think they need to be disturbed that much now. You know, so we'll try our best to look after it.
Okay. So, kind of want to move. We've got two questions right now regarding infrastructure. Okay. So, you've pointed out a very specific infrastructure failure. People paying for city water and fire hydrants, but not having enough water pressure to actually use them. So, you've promised a long-term plan to fix and expand those water lines, which, of course, you know, those expansions are. It's going to be a lot of capital.
Yep.
As county mayor, how do you fund that infrastructure overhaul? Are we looking at utility rate hikes, increased property taxes, or reallocation of existing funds that are out there?
Look, I don't like taxes. All right, I don't know anybody that does. So if I ever say I'm going to raise taxes, I want you to just slap me, okay? But it might become a necessity sometime in the future. But I sure as heck don't want to go there. But maybe some rate increases, maybe not, maybe some grants. You know, I remember when about my second year in office, we had grant money to take sewer to North Coffee, and the city was willing to put the line in, and the county was not willing to buy the line. So we didn't get anywhere with that. We missed a great opportunity to expand sewer to North Coffee. North Coffee had to put in a different kind of sewer system because they expanded and the old sewer wouldn't work. That would solve that problem. That would have opened that up for a little expansion maybe and made everybody's property worth more. But we missed out on that because the county and the city couldn't see eye to eye on that. So I hope we don't. I hope we don't run into something like that. But grants are going to be a big part. We need a grant writer.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have one. And I know the city's got one like half-time. So maybe the county can say, hey, maybe we can hire this guy full-time and we can split him or something. I don't know, but we'll work that out.
Okay. So I kind of want to pivot a little bit. We talked about with Mayor Hobbs. We talked about the sewer issues with Manchester City.
Yeah.
Going back to, you've been on the board. You've been on as an alderman. You've been there for 8 years, going on 8 years.
Yeah.
So what is your take on that situation? Because obviously these things have been going on for years. So it's been going on for a good portion of your tenure as alderman.
Probably about 6 years.
So in that time, as you being the vice mayor, how do you feel like the board of mayor and aldermen have handled that situation?
We've floundered around like a fish out of water for several years. It's like going to work and everything's fine, and then you get a memo that day that, hey, we're going to shut you down. And that's the way it was with us. We thought everything was fine. We had no idea that there was a problem until there was a problem. And it hit us like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
And we just kind of flopped around and we did what we could do. We patched holes here. We talked to the state. We begged forgiveness. And I'll just be honest with you. Joey's been mayor for 2 years. I'd say the last 3 years, we've actually made progress. We actually kind of know where we're going and what we're going to do. So I feel like we've got to handle.
So one of the things that we talked about as well was the former director, Jeff Perry.
Yeah.
And one of the comments that the mayor made was that he inherited Jeff Perry.
He did.
So my question is, when Jeff got hired, wasn't Mayor Hobbs? Wasn't he an alderman at that time?
He may have been.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he helped.
Yeah,
he was one that voted Jeff in as
Jeff looked like a great person. I mean, Jeff was our hero. I mean, he checked all the boxes. I don't know what happened, and I'm not saying that he's just flew the coop and didn't do a great job, but somewhere along the line, him and the powers that be just could not get along.
And I think there's a lot of, and this is just my perspective. Okay, this is we talked about this. I've made it very clear. I look at evidence. I form my own opinion. I put the evidence out there.
Yeah.
I let everyone else form their own opinion. If they disagree with me, I'm okay with that. I have no problem with someone disagreeing with me. I like to keep things civil. As long as you're civil and we can have a respectful conversation, we can disagree all day long.
That's right.
And still be friends at the end of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that there is a lot of that at City Hall between among the elected officials, the alderman and mayor, probably between some committee members, city employees, directors, managers. And it's like I told the mayor that's going to happen. Whether you're in government or you're private sector, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's people at work that I may not get along with.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that doesn't happen with me. We've got a good crew in the area I work with, in the area I work in. So, anyways, so one other thing I want to touch on, and because I want your opinion on it. So one of the questions I asked was regarding TDEC or the EPA, the moratorium. We were under they made Manchester go under a self-imposed moratorium.
Yeah.
During a certain amount of time, and during that time, any sewer taps that were connected to those overflow manholes were not supposed to be installed.
Couldn't install one downstream from chronic man.
So now there were several that were approved
Right.
after that, and I asked the mayor because there are things out there that says that he approved 7 of them. His office did. He said he didn't.
He he would know. Okay, I
So,
know.
well,
That,
here's my question, and I wanted to bring this up because I've had a lot of people ask me about it.
Okay.
So I went back on Mayor Hobbs's page, and on February 12th, and I'm going to show you this to you, just so you can confirm.
Okay.
It's hard for me to show the camera, right?
All right, I got you.
Just to confirm, on February 12th, on a Facebook post he made, he said, "It is correct that I approved 7 sewer taps." So I'll let you look at that.
Okay.
And of course, that's not edited. Anyone can go on there and find
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So my question is that, do you feel like we're going to say that we didn't see this? Okay. If he did, or if the mayor did approve those 7 sewer taps, being vice mayor or being alderman, how would you respond to that?
Well, if he did, I think the agreement that we had, the understandings we had with TDEC during that period of time was that we take out so much I&I, and we have a little leeway about, approving a sewer tap or two. We couldn't approve one for a company or a shopping mall or an industry, but I'm willing to bet you money when you look that up, those would be for 6 individual houses if he did that. So, and I think that's fine.
Like I said, this is just a question that I was asked, and I kind of, since you've been there for so long, you've got a long tenure. You probably know every road, every sidewalk, and you probably know everything about Manchester. So that's why I wanted to bring that up.
We were getting along really well with TDEC. We were working good together until we weren't again. There you go.
And I want to clear something else too that's been asked recently, and there was actually a gentleman that made several comments last night about this. Though he has deleted those comments since then. This is all on the Manchester Guardian page. And I don't like when people do that. If you leave a comment, I want you to leave it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And because even if you're wrong, it's okay. That's
Sure.
okay. There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Let me tell you, it looks a lot different from out there looking in than it does from in here looking out.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. But people are still talking about the $146,000 fine. And I employ everyone, and of course, I brought it back again today. And if I'm not mistaken, this is on page.
You got the order? Is that what you got? Yeah, that's the order that we live under now.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I had this.
That's okay.
Okay, so this is on page 10
of
this order. Okay, anyone can go look this up. It says, quote, "The respondent is assessed a total civil penalty of $146,000. The respondent shall pay an upfront allocation of $29,200 of this penalty to the division within 31 days after the effective date of this order."
Okay.
After the effective date of this order. This order was the 9th day of February 2026. Now, if you go down through here, page 10, 11, 12, and so on, it says if you don't do this, you have to pay this.
Right.
If you don't do this, you have to pay this.
By this day, it gives you
exactly. It gives days and days. So far, I'm going to say so far because we're not out.
Fair enough. Yeah.
We're not out yet.
Yeah.
So far, the city of Manchester has done what TDEC told them or EPA told them to do. So I want to clear that up. Okay, this is not. Please understand, this is not me backing the city. This is me showing you proof.
That's true.
And that's how we do the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
We paid that first $29,000.
Yeah.
We did.
Okay, so we're going to get off of that.
Okay,
Because
I'm good.
I feel like that is taking up. Not only is that taking up a lot of portion of our show, but it's also taking up a lot of the citizens out here, right?
Yeah.
And we need to. It is a big issue. Yes, it needs to be addressed, but let's address it occasionally, not every single day. Okay. All right. So now this is going to go back to your time. I say go back to. You're still an alderman.
I'll be an alderman Tuesday.
Till Tuesday. Okay. So part of being an effective leader is simply showing up to do the job, right?
Right.
Okay. In September of 2024, you failed to attend a regular Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting because of your absence and the absence of others. The board couldn't establish a quorum. City business was completely stalled, and citizens who took the time to show up and sit down were they were pretty much just left hanging. So you're asking the voters of Coffee County for a massive promotion. Why should they trust you to run an executive branch of the entire county when there's instances where you didn't show up to fulfill your duties of your current office?
I guess that we're talking about that there were 2 times, if I'm not mistaken, that I missed meetings. That was after Joey was sworn in as mayor. Joey's seat was vacant. And there were 3 aldermen that got together and decided they were going to fill that seat without any discussion, without bringing it up to the whole board, without saying anything to the other 2 aldermen that were there. And that just didn't sit well with me. And so I talked to the other aldermen, and we both missed 2 board meetings. Now, they made a couple of attempts for call meetings and stuff like that just to make us look bad. Maybe it did, I don't know. But I don't regret doing that and filling that seat the correct way instead of trying to sneak somebody in. I just didn't like that, and we did what we could to stop.
So I want to go back because, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a similar situation with Alderman Crossing?
I don't remember that.
Where there was a somewhat of a boycott.
Well, I thought that's what we were talking about when Crossing got appointed.
Okay.
That's the only time I remember that. I mean, I
Okay.
missed. I
Okay.
missed one board.
That was
Yeah.
what we were talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But as vice mayor, you hold a higher level of responsibility than just a standard alderman.
Right.
When the mayor is out, the vice mayor is expected to step up. Do you regret ever leaving city leadership, leaving the city without any leadership?
Well, it always had leadership. I mean, a phone call would have got me somewhere if I needed to be there.
Okay.
We didn't have anything demanding at the moment.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we kind of want to talk about employee relations, right? Because obviously when you're essentially going to be the CEO of the county,
Right.
right? I made the same reference to Mayor Hobbs as well, as he is the CEO of the city. So you are essentially saying, hey, I want to be the CEO of this county. So I want to talk about employee relations and leadership style. So during the May 2025 city budget meetings, you actually made headlines by stating you were, quote, not in the mood to give raises, end quote, to city employees. You went on the record calling certain city departments, quote, just pitiful, and publicly singled out Parks and Recreation Director by name.
Yeah.
So if you're elected the county mayor, you'll be inheriting a massive roster of county employees.
Yeah.
And you're aware of that. So how can those workers trust you that you'll support them and not have any public demeaning of county staff or opposing pay raises in the future?
Well, sometimes you need to oppose some things that are pretty popular, and you need to have the backbone to stand up and say this is just not right. If you'll go back 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you'll see that after COVID, I led the fight to give all the employees in the city a 10% raise. And I caught heck from 90 different directions. Nobody wanted to give them 10%. There was some 5% floated, there was 7% floated. But I wanted to give 10%, and I hooked my horns in, and I stood there until everybody came to me. We got them 10% raise. Last year, we got them a 7% raise. This year, they're getting somewhere close to 6%. I'm not opposed to the department getting a raise if they deserve it. What happens a lot of times is there are departments that are just not run very well. And when that happens, you need to do something with those people. Maybe I shouldn't have said that they don't deserve a raise, because I'm sure they're hardworking people in that department. But it needs a little help. and it still needs a little help. It's better than it was,
Yeah.
but it still needs a little help.
So do you feel like, in going from that, okay, so let's kind of go into an accountability side of that. Do you believe that calling the entire department pitiful in a public forum is effective management, or do you feel like maybe you were, I don't know, aggravated at that director because that director wasn't doing what they should have been doing, and it was just what I like to call word vomit?
You know, I told you that I've said some things I wish I hadn't, and that's one of them. I wish I hadn't, because it's not the employees' fault. The employees without a leadership, they don't know what to do. You need good leaders in each department as department heads, and for the most part, I think the city's gotten that. And I'll even brag on AJ a little bit. From 2-3 years ago, AJ's made some pretty good strides, come a long way. So I have faith that he will, if he'll hang in there, I have faith that he's going to turn out to be okay.
Yeah.
But he needed a little swift kick.
Yeah.
Back then.
And sometimes people do.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people stay in or get into positions, or they've been in positions for a long time, they get complacent. They don't, they're thinking about growth.
Right.
They're thinking about what the new project that's coming up, and sometimes things get missed. I.e., there's some pictures floating around of there's two in particular that I saw. One was a park bench that had grass growing up over the back of the park bench, and which I don't want to stick too long on this, but anyways, I do understand,
Sometimes I get a little frustrated. Okay?
I get that, and that kind of goes back to, and I just want to touch on this too. So the comment on the July 7th at the July 7th BOMA meeting, when there was a motion and a second, it came to vote about going to mediation.
Right.
And your response to that was absolutely no.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I can explain. And look, we're talking about Citizen A here, okay?
Yeah. And I understand. Let me go ahead and make this very clear to the viewers. There are some things that cannot be discussed at this time due to the litigation. Now, there may be pieces of it that he can discuss. If he says he can't, we're going to leave it at that. We'll wait till the litigation is over with. We can come back to that at a later date.
Well, all right. Here's why I feel the way I feel about that. And a lot of people don't know this, but we've been working on this for 6, 8, 9 months. And for 90 days, 120 days, somewhere 3-4 months, our attorney, city attorney, has sat down numerous times with this person and just tried to work things out. Just said, hey, cut us a little slack here. We can work together. Let's work this out. No, we never got an answer from her. So I don't feel that mediation, I feel like we've already been through mediation, and I don't feel that any further mediation is going to help anything. So I don't want to go there. I want to end this. I want to, one way or the other, I want to end into this. And the only way I see we're going to get it is to go to court.
Yeah. So my question is, if the mediation that the city went after was through the city attorney, and I know you said you didn't feel like any other mediation was needed because it didn't feel like it would go anywhere, but being that it was an unbiased party doing the mediation,
I understand. I know where you're coming from.
That's where I think a lot of people are kind of upset, or non-understanding, and I get that. I mean, I completely understand because that is something that if you look at it from, you got to look at it from two different angles, right? You got to look at it from the city side. You got to look at it from that citizen side. And when I say that, I mean people that back the city, or people that back that citizen, or the people that are in between. Because I'm an in-betweener, okay?
Right, yeah.
I have no political affiliations. This is the first time me and you have ever met, ever spoken, other than through email to set this interview up. And I like it that way because it keeps me unbiased, because I'm completely unbiased. That is part of our tagline. Right. So I think that is the biggest issue, is that if the city could have went through the free mediation through comptroller's office, and because they are a third-party entity. And I think that is where a lot of people are kind of getting upset about this whole situation. Now, number one, if I'm not mistaken, the city is not suing this person. They are simply saying, calling for an injunction, saying,
give us a little relief.
Put this person, on a 1 year
Yeah.
probation, so to speak, from being able to request documents.
We have never turned down anybody, and we've never turned down this person either. They've gotten everything they've ever asked for. I don't know what else you can do.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we kind of actually hit on the next couple questions. So I'm going to skip over those.
Right.
It goes back to when we were talking about you can't put a chicken house next to a subdivision, and so forth and so on. But I do want to just briefly touch on this one real quick. So you do want to work with the state to develop the I-24 industrial plan. Okay. At the same time, you specifically warned against Coffee County, quote, going wild, like our neighbors up in Murfreesboro.
Right.
Okay. So obviously when you develop an industrial park area, a corridor, so to speak, it almost always brings an influx of transient workers, traffic. It does increase housing demands. How do you aggressively pursue the I-24 industrial park while preventing the exact Murfreesboro style sprawl that you don't want to happen?
The city was smart enough to ask the state for help. We got a $7 million grant from the state to study how we need to address this situation, what we need to do, where roads need to be, where water lines need to be, where houses need to be. The county has stuck two thumbs where the sun don't shine, and we haven't done a thing. So we need to do the same thing. We need to ask the state for help, and the state will help us. I know they'd be glad to see that developed out there. We could get a grant. We should have applied for a grant at the same time as the city. We should have done that together. That's the way this needs to work, is together as partners. And we just need to figure out where we need to go, what we need to do, and then we need to work toward that goal. It can't all be done overnight.
Right.
So it's going to take time.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be our last segment, so to speak.
Okay.
We're going to talk about some government consolidation, or as a lot of people in the country like to call it, we call it cutting the fat.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned harvesting economies of scale for purchasing and discussing ways to, quote, consolidate some government functions. Okay. So when politicians typically talk about consolidation, employees, county, city, they start worrying.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: my company was just bought out this past year by another group, and that was a big thing with us.
Yeah.
We were all like, what's going to happen? So anytime a new mayor comes in, or whatever new politician hits the stage, right? People start to worry about what that person's going to do. So which specific government functions are you looking to consolidate, and how much money do you think that will actually save Coffee County tax?
Well, we could save Coffee County taxpayers a lot, but I don't think that there's enough people that want to actually do it. If we consolidate everything, if we consolidated schools and fire departments and police departments and all that, I mean, if we were metro, which we're not, and we're probably not going to be, but that's the extreme far of it that we can go. But there are other things we can fire departments can work together. We've got 5, I believe there's 5 volunteer fire stations, okay? And I love them. and they do a great job. They sacrifice their time.
They do.
And they need to be applauded for that. But look, why can't we put a crew in each one of those fire stations from either Manchester or Tullahoma and just have one crew in that fire station all the time? Because when somebody calls in a fire, what's the volunteer fire department got to do? He's got to go to the fire department. He's got to get his truck out. They've got to get everything on, get their gear on, and take off.
Yeah.
So if we had a crew from each to man those fire departments full time, you get a fire call, then the volunteer fire departments could almost meet them at the fire. The truck would be there. Save a lot of time. Save some houses. Probably help our insurance rating go down or go up. I think it goes up to do good. But there's just there's always ways to save money.
Yeah.
And I'm not against it. Look, now I'm not going. One thing I've been asked a lot is who you gonna fire. I ain't gonna fire nobody, man. That's not my style. Okay. I'm gonna make you be accountable for your job, because that's my job, is to hold you accountable for what you do. And if you're doing a good job, you ain't got nothing to worry about from me. Not at all. We'll make it through.
Good. Okay. So, Mr. Messick, before we wrap up, you are running as an independent.
I am.
In this election. Okay. Once again, your political party affiliation makes no difference to me. Honestly, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Okay. But what is your closing argument to the voter who usually either checks all Republican or all Democrat on their ticket, and as to why an independent is what Coffee County needs right now?
Look, man, if you're a Republican county mayor, then you've got the Republican Party pushing you one way or the other. If you're a Democrat, you've got the Democratic Party pushing you one way or the other. They have ideals, and they want to push those ideals on you, and they want you to act accordingly. I don't want to owe my allegiance to anybody except the citizens of this county. And that's it, in a nutshell. I'm not to be pushed around.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's why. I should have stopped a sentence ago.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And that's, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in our day and time, it's I don't want to. It's funny because I say I hate politics because of the way our country's going, but at the same time, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So, well, Mark, I appreciate you. Vice Mayor of Manchester, candidate for Coffee County Mayor. Want to thank you for coming in or letting me come in to your spot and being on the show. For everybody listening, stay tuned. We've got several more interviews lined up the rest of this week and some next week as well. Some of those might impact your backyard. Unbiased, unapologetic, and unafraid. This is the Manchester Guardian.